So it's all for play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, Aston Villa fans, and welcome to For the Love of... I can't even get my sizing right. Welcome for the Love of Paul McGrath. Welcome. With the one time my microphone actually was turned on, I made an absolute balls of it. Guys, we're Champions League bound. I absolutely cannot believe it. What a game to send us off to Istanbul. What a game to secure your Champions League dumb for next year. Just like what a cracking Friday night. What a brilliant Friday night. The worst thing that happened to me this Friday night was celebrating John McGinn's goal and spilling, I'd say, about 3/4 of a bottle of writer's tears all over me. I still haven't changed yet, but I couldn't give two flying fucks because Aston Villa are on their way to the Champions League. We've Champions League wrapped up before we go to Istanbul and before we have a right rattle of winning European silverware. It doesn't get any better than this. We are living in incredible times for Aston Villa Football Club. We are living in times whereby there is a man in that dugout that is worth at least 25 points, if not 30 points a season to Aston Villa Football Club. And that man is Austin McPhee. No, that man is Unai Emery, but Austin McPhee should get his flowers as well today. Specifically for the first goal. Villa have been very Jekyll and Hyde this year. We're not gonna get away from that. We're not gonna gloss over that part. But Aston Villa have probably been the team this season, the team that had most expectation, but definitely the most uncertainty around them towards the whole lot of this season. Poor off season last year. Our best signing this year is a free agent signing, 32-year-old from Manchester United, who we've played in midfield and right back as many times as he has played at centre half this season. And that's the level of performance that Unai Emery has squeezed out of this football team. Dragged us to the Champions League final, or Champions League, and dragged us to Europa League final. We are living in incredible, I'll say it fourth time, incredible times for Aston Villa Football Club. I said it there, like my missus doesn't follow football at all. It might as well be arsenic coming through the TV to her. But I went outside and I just put my arm, she was outside in the kitchen and she was getting stuff ready for tomorrow. I just put my arm around her and I go, do you know what? If you were to talk to me 10 years ago, as a 31-year-old Neil Dunworth, if you were to talk to me and you were to say that I would have seen my beloved Limerick hurling team, which is going to mean nothing to a lot of UK fans. This is me getting a small bit bleary and teary-eyed now at the moment. I asked my Liverpool or my Limerick hurling team win an All-Ireland title. Never mind win 5. And see Aston Villa get into the Champions League. Never mind get in there twice. And potentially, get to Istanbul and see them win a European trophy. I would have laughed so hard I would have cracked a rib. And we're nearly there. We've gotten into the Champions League twice. We've done incredible things this season. And we've got a huge date with destiny looking straight at us in the face in the crossroads of Europe and Asia in Istanbul next Wednesday. It should not be lost on us as Aston Villa. I know it's not. And that's why I'm waxing lyrically about it here. And that's why I'm having a little moment to myself here, because I'm actually quite emotional. Not just because we won 4-2 or whatever. It's just the achievement, the stress that this whole season has been at times. The loss to Wolves, the loss to Chelsea, the fucking 12 games won in a row. The being above in Dublin, watching Brentford beat us with Ian Taylor. Just like wondering, is this team over after the first 5 games? Then all of a sudden we're in a title race. Then we're not. Then we're not getting Champions League. Then we are getting Champions League. It's been an absolute roller coaster, up, down wave of emotion. Ollie Watkins having a shit season. Ollie Watkins now having a brilliant season. It's been brilliant. It's been amazing. And like, I won't say I didn't ridicule it. I know it's upside down there, but when the members, what you call them, gifts came out, I went, scarf saying I believe was 2 years ago. But it's actually really poignant now as we go to Istanbul after getting into the Champions League. Something special this year just happened, and something even more special is going to happen on Wednesday, win, lose or draw, because Aston Villa Football Club are becoming very quickly a household name the world over. And I know that everyone will be like, what do you mean Aston Villa are always a household name? But what I mean by this is that we're what I said before this game was Villa are making strides off the field. A lot of times we've been fucking annoyed at it. We've annoyed at the speed that they've had to up prices. We've been annoyed at the speed. It's, all that kind of stuff. But it's on days like tonight that you don't worry about that. You forget about that, and you look forward to going, Aston Villa are getting places both off the field, and now we're getting places on the field with consistency. Will we be in the Champions League places in the top 4 next year? Who knows? There will have to be a rebuild of this team at some stage. That is a podcast and a conversation for another day. Today's conversation should surround the man in the dugout, Unai Emery, and his absolute brilliance. Today's conversation will surround the fact that Ollie Watkins, whatever anybody in the world thinks, Ollie Watkins is the best goal scorer that Aston Villa have had in insert amount of years here. He and this isn't me having a go or goading anyone. It's just the case. Does he miss chances? He absolutely does. We would be fucked without Ollie Watkins. We would be fucked without John McGinn. We would be fucked without an under-par Morgan Rogers this season. But what's happened is the sum of the parts in this team is something incredible. It really is. And it goes all the way back up, filters back up to that man, Unai Emery, that beautiful Basque man who's able to tie all the knots together and is able to drag this team over a 38-game season twice to the Champions League. I said before this game, I said I don't really care if Unai Emery isn't in the manager of the season conversation, and I still don't, because I don't care if other teams fans, I don't care if Sky Sports, I don't care if TalkSport, I don't care if ITV, BBC, Channel 5, RTE, Canal Plus, Al Jazeera, beIN Sports, TNT Sports, whatever sports, Sun Sport, in wherever in the world you're watching. I do not care if they think Unai Emery is a good manager, because all that matters is that he is our manager. And all that matters is that he continues in our dugout, continues to drive us as far as he's driven us. Because the silk purse he's making out of some sow's ears in this that he's been given over the last 3 years is nothing short of amazing. It's nothing short of amazing. And I know there'll be fans of other teams who will probably find this and comment in underneath it and say, oh, Villa have spent 400 million, or X amount since the Premier League began. That's all irrelevant. The amount of players that we've sold, what Unai Emery has had to do with essentially the same set of players that have been with this club for the last 6 years is incredible. Incredible. And I raise a glass to him, and I raise a glass to every single Aston Villa player that's taken the field this year. I raise a glass to every single Aston Villa fan who's made the effort, whether you can go to games or whether you get up at 2:00 in the morning. But you can't watch the games and you're working night shift and your phone is buzzing in your pocket and you're doing something, your boss is hanging behind you, and you get that sharp jolt of, oh crap, have Villa scored? And you go and you pretend you have to go for a piss, or you pretend you have to go on a fag break or something like that, and you check your phone and you have all that delight in your heart because flash score, something pops up in your phone and says Aston Villa 3, Liverpool 1, Aston Villa 4, Liverpool 1, and you don't even care when you have to fake that extra piss break again 4 seconds later because it's Aston Villa 4, Liverpool 2, and you don't care about that goal going in for Liverpool, and you're on shift work and you're making ends meet for your family, but what's going on in your pocket is every bit as important to you. To every single Villa fan, whether you can go, whether you can't, whether you're a season ticket or whether you're not, whether you have that love to go that extra mile and just be a fan of the best named football team in all of world football, pat yourself in the back and salute yourself. Because, as I said, we are living in extraordinary times. Extraordinary times for Aston Villa Football Club. Extraordinary times. And I hear people looking for the sound machine. I can't hear it. I don't know if it's even being played. I have the Champions League music. The last time I played the Champions, you know what? Fuck it. Who cares about whether we're going to get monetized or anything like that and any of this stuff? This is... That's enough. I can't play the whole 2.5 minutes. Do you know what I did? Do you know what I did? I bookmarked the tweet that goes through the whole lyrics of the Champions League song, and I was going to sing it, and I went, that's pretentious. So I'll just be even more pretentious, and I'll sit here sipping whiskey, pontificating and talking shite and congratulating absolutely everybody, because it doesn't really matter. I was on edge for that game today. I was literally shaking at one stage today, going, this could be the start of the falling of the House of Cards, or this could be the legend who ends up, solidifying the cards with glue, with magic glue that nobody can see. And one way or another, we were going to get our answer tonight. We don't need to wait for Bournemouth to slip up against Man City on Tuesday. I'm now going to Istanbul. I still can't believe it. I still pinch myself that I'm even, number one, that my minder and keeper, my missus, is actually letting me go to Istanbul. Number two, I can't believe that the credit union came up trumps here in Ireland. Once again, last on everybody outside of Ireland. Whenever there's a big sporting event that any Irish person needs to go to, the first person they talk to is their credit union. And thirdly, the fact that I was fully prepared to be a bag of nerves watching Man City and Bournemouth in a bar in Turkey on Tuesday night. And now I don't need to. Now I can watch it with my legs up on the table. Now I can relax. And now every single one of you guys can relax. We're there. We're there. We're in the Champions League. Damian Vidagani, the CFO, whoever is running, Roberto Alabe, all those guys can breathe a sigh of relief. Is it going to be tough in the off-season for transfers? Who cares? We'll worry about that in a week's time, 2 weeks' time. We'll worry about all that. Who cares? We're going to live for the moment. And as I said, we will live in these extraordinary times, and we will live every single second. And we will live every single second with a smile on our face as wide as... Trying to think of something that's wide in Birmingham. As wide as the widest canal in Birmingham. As wide as the whole end. How's about that one? As wide as the whole end. And that's what we need. Like, we should love this moment. This moment should be something that literally, there's no point winning. There's no point achieving. And you know what? There will be fans of other clubs that are serial winners that will call this a tin pot, and we'll call this, whatever else. It's a small time or whatever the case is. Oh, they're celebrating getting into the Champions League, beating a poor Liverpool team or whatever like that. Fuck that. That's like that. People may say that's a poor Liverpool team. They're still going to finish in the top half in the top five of this league, and they've still finished higher than 15 other teams in the Premier League. Aston Villa arguably have been a poor Aston Villa team, according to some people, at times this season. They have been, but at times they've been bloody amazing. And tonight they ran Liverpool ragged. They absolutely bombarded them on both wings. Villa did to Liverpool what I was afraid Liverpool would do to Villa, and what I've seen Liverpool do to Villa in the past. And that is switching play from flank to flank, catching fullbacks and catching centre halves out of position, making sure the middle of the field becomes redundant. Villa did that excellently tonight. And Ollie Watkins gave an exhibition of how to play up top on your own tonight. An absolute exhibition of how to do it against two bloody good defenders. Top stuff from that man. Definitely my man of the match. Absolutely 100% that man of the match. I haven't even. There's 325 comments in there. I better get to some of those now soon because I've just been pontificating for the last 15 minutes, and boy, does it feel good to talk good about Aston Villa. Boy, does it good. As I say, I hope everybody else, like, there's one weight off one shoulder, let's say. And there's not. To me, the final is the final. Pressure will make diamonds there for whichever team it is. You know, there will be a winner and there will be a loser in the final. Villa have become a winner financially for getting into the Champions League here tonight, and they could become a winner from. So they've already achieved their objective. Start of the season, Unai Emery said getting Champions League, that was the goal of the club. Everything else stems from that. You bring home a trophy as well. Start casting the statue, and that's what it is. That's the beauty, as I said. They are the extraordinary times we live in, and it's okay. And as I said, thinking back on this season, thinking back on the league this season, I don't regret any singular bit of it because, as Evan Paddy said beforehand, you know, and every single one of you to follow Aston Villa here, there's been some desperate lows and there's been a smidgen of highs. And we are in the most consistent high point of Aston Villa Football Club, I would say now, since the 80s. Surpasses 94 to 96 if they win a trophy, obviously. Surpasses that for me. And I think the climate that they're playing in, it surpasses that from a standard of football and a climate point of view, considering that they're not even boxing in the same in the same parish as financially as some of the other teams, and certainly better than the Martin O'Neill era, without a shadow of a doubt for me. Not even a question at all. We are in the most fruitful period of Aston Villa Football Club since the 80s. And we're one game away from this team becoming an immortal team within Aston Villa fans' minds. One game against another game against a German club, serendipitous, from 44 years ago. And Jesus Christ, I hope they do it. I hope they do it like they did tonight. You could see there was players out there that had the bit between their teeth tonight. Morgan Rogers, I thought, was carrying the ball like himself. Was he great? No, but was he awful? It wasn't. But then when he carried the ball, he came into his own. He was really good. There was a couple of missed passes. Who cares? The ones that came off. They were the ones that we needed to do. Players that carry the ball will lose the ball. Ollie Watkins was absolutely amazing today. Emi Buendia, barely heard sight nor sound of him, but the defensive work he did on that left-hand side was absolutely excellent. Tielemans in midfield, trading balls. McGinn, really, really good. Victor Lindelof stood up again, taken off at half-time, more or less. Ross Barkley came on. He thought he played pretty well in that 6th role. Ezri Konsa got down and dirty and started manhandling Alexis McAllister, who fired himself to the floor. What about it? That's part of the game now in 2026. I would nearly go so far as to say McAllister looked silly, but Konsa would have looked silly if he got a red card, because you don't need to do that to anyone in this day and age. In 2026, people are trying to get you sent off. It was a thing of nothing, and the referee dealt with it the right way. Matty Cash, tough assignment against Ngamoa. But first half, Ngamoa hits the post that time. Second half, much more Matty Cash, because Villa were on top. What a fantastic performance. Fellas had the bit between their teeth. They went out, they got the job done. They stamped their authority on it at home. Now we go to Istanbul with people with the bit between their teeth. And Aston Villa fans, and God willing, I don't care what end, away end, neutral end, home end. If I get a ticket for it, I will sing my absolute nuts off, regardless of where I am in the stadium. Because if Aston Villa can make that stadium anywhere near a home venue from a noise point of view, and it's going to be difficult because Freiburg are not exactly shirking violets either, you know. But if Villa can make it their own, can make it their own in the streets. What I mean by that is just the colour, the vibrance, the happiness, the carnival they bring with them. I'm not saying about firing tables through a cafe window. Nothing like that. It doesn't need that. It just needs positivity. It needs singing. It needs vibrancy. It needs energy. It needs energy. It needs energy. Whether it comes from the stands or it comes from the streets, no matter where it comes from, it's that energy. Call me a fool. Call me a romantic old fool, but I think it's so important. The home crowd tonight were absolutely amazing. This is my first drink as well, by the way, just in case anybody thinks I'm on a poetic bender here or anything like that. But I'll be honest with you, I'm quite emotional after that win. I really am, and because I do feel a relief from doing previews and doing team sheet tantrums and doing post match podcasts. Sometimes there is a bit of pressure to maybe, keep my spirits up, or whatever, or react in a certain way, and I always try and do it off the cuff, and I don't try and be performative in any way. And I think when you have a performance like that, you can go, oh my God, at least I'm not coming here now trying to talk myself up and try and gather my thoughts like I've done sometimes, and it is a release of pressure, and I hope there'll be an even bigger release of pressure if I'm standing in the Taksim Square or in the fan zone and in Istanbul on Wednesday night, and that release of pressure will definitely be me bawling my eyes out because I cried to drop the hat, and that's just me. Always has been, always will be, and I hope to Christ I'm doing it in Istanbul. But I think that is amazing. I think that performance is a great way to it's a great thing to have in the back of your mind when you are boarding a plane with it for your date with destiny. A striker up top who 10 years ago or 9 years ago was playing for Weston-super-Mare. A captain of our club who 10 years ago, no, couldn't have been, 8 years ago, was playing with Hibs. A left winger who's now being touted at 150 million for our club, who 4 years ago was playing with Lincoln. Was it Lincoln City? I could go on. A goalkeeper for our club who 6 years ago, about 6 years ago, what was it, 7 years ago, was third choice goalkeeper for Arsenal. What I'm getting at here is that like a lot of people talk about, Villa haven't done great in the transfer market. Absolutely fair criticism. Haven't done great recently. But we're a bit of a Renford rejects put together in a lot of ways of people who have had incredible self-belief and are now realising it. And they're realising it in our shirt. And years and years and years and years have gone by previously when Aston Villa players have moved on to other teams and realised their potential there. And as I said, we're living in strange times. We're living in really strange times currently. With Aston Villa being so good as they are. And the way that I just put it to you guys there, high potential players in potentially career dormant situations have been brought to this club at different times over the last, we call it 8 years, and are now a conglomerate together. They're achieving great things under a manager who had a lot of questions to answer from the standpoint of, can he do it in England? They've been answered. He can do it in this competition. But as I've said before, he wins 5 Europa Leagues. He won't even need to be posthumously honoured within UEFA and the Europa League. I would say the second he retires from football, the man of the match in the Europa League will get the Unai Emery Trophy. Or the Europa League might even be called the Unai Emery Trophy. And he can do that on Wednesday. We're living in strange times, and it's the most exciting times I've ever had as an Aston Villa fan. I'm going to come to your comments now because I do really feel like I'm going to turn this into something mad. I'm going to turn this into something like Late Like Love. I'll start reading my own love letters to John McGinn in a moment. Oh, Jesus Christ. Thank you so much to everybody. Wow. I will come to a lot of other comments here, but I just see some of the some of the super chats and stuff that come in here. Paul O'Neill says, love the mentality we shown last week. Beat Forest and we took 4 points from Burnley and Liverpool. I can enjoy the build up to the final now. Everybody can. That's what we want. We want to be able to enjoy football, enjoy things. I'll say it again, we're living in strange times, and they're the best times I've ever seen as an Aston Villa fan. Here's Winnipeg Walter says, for the Neil gets monetized fund. It's not about Neil getting monetized or anything. I gladly play the Champions League song all night long for that. I just know that I've gotten a copyright strike before from this, so this is probably copyright strike number 2, and I think you get 3, and your what you call it, your page gets taken down or whatever the case is. A massive pint of exported black gold with in Istanbul. Thank you so much, massive. Appreciate that. Pints not cheap as you think in Istanbul. Enjoy, buddy. No, they aren't, but they'll be worth every single penny if they come home with a Europa League. And lastly, as well, Richie Ryan, thank you so much. Enjoying the match and trip to Istanbul, Neil. Thank you for all your hard work throughout the season. Have a point on me. Thank you so much. I really, 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 really ridiculously appreciate that. And as well, look, as I say, thank you to everybody. I'm going to go back through this here and go back here and pick a couple of comments here as well. CCAV says, loved how Watkins was shouting Champions League to the fans as they celebrated Guinea's goal. I didn't even talk about any of the goals that we scored tonight. Let me regale you. The brilliance of our 4-2 win. I only remember 2 of them. And one of them I only saw back as a replay because, as I say, I spilled 3/4 of a bottle of Writer's tears all over me. So I'm stinking of whiskey now. I remember 3 of them. Do I? Yeah, I do. Oh, yeah. The first goal. The first goal was incredible. Like, it was a brilliant set piece. It really was. And you know what? I like, sometimes when I watch a goal broken down at halftime, you can see that the pundits and the commentators are struggling to make something of nothing. You know, they're struggling. Like the first half was meh. It was so. Villa, I thought, were the better team, but it was like it was both teams feeling each other out for a lot of it. And then the goal went in. But I genuinely believe that the movement of Morgan Rogers there, and they highlighted it at halftime, I think the movement was fantastic. Aston Villa were the anti-Arsenal there in that aspect. They piled into the 6-yard box, drawing Liverpool into a massive, getting all their players into one position, into a ball, and therefore, you know, thinking that there was going to be a cross or something, and they were going to do the whole couture thing of getting your arm across the goalkeeper or whatever like that, try and keep him down and stop him from scoring and all that stuff that goes on in the penalty area at the moment. Yet they recycle the ball back to Morgan Rogers, who has space in the box from that area. And then Villa players broke out from there. And when Morgan Rogers has it, there is a clear path to goal because of the way Villa players break out. I'm not saying that they break out in any prescribed runs or anything, but it gives Morgan Rogers time to cut inside and to have that shot. And in the moment, I saw people on Twitter blaming the goalkeeper. I just think it was a really powerful shot. I think it was an underestimatedly powerful shot. It was a cracker. It goes in the top corner and Villa go 1-0 up. Absolutely fantastic. Then the second goal, obviously, a slip from Szoboszlai. Hate to see it happen, but it happens, and thank you, because the ball comes to Ollie Watkins, who sticks it in the back of the net. Another very good finish. A bobbling ball comes across, an underrated finish. I can guarantee you we have 897 people watching this. I can guarantee you, of the 897 of us watching this, if you're in that very situation with a defender breathing down your back and you have a goalkeeper on goals and that bobbling ball comes across, you're going to miss-hit it. Most of us will miss-hit that ball. Fair play to him. He's a professional striker. I expect him to get it on target, but he gets it right in the corner. Goalkeeper has no chance. Third goal was the third goal. I'm struggling really to remember. Oh yeah, the one that comes back and yeah, it comes back off. Can't remember who took the shot now. Actually, is it Tielemans took the shot and parried back out and we score, and that's 3-1. And then obviously John McGinn's goal was an absolute perler, right in the top corner. Again, cracker of a goal. 3 goals of high quality. And a squirty one, which is worth as much as the other 3. And I think that is amazing. Ollie Watkins is 1 goal away from 20 goals this season in his down year. Admittedly, I'm not having like this isn't. It's not been snarky snide or anything like that. Admittedly, there's been portions of were wondering, like everybody was wondering, and probably rightly so, where is Ollie Watkins? But you know where he is now? 30 or something like, what is it, 12 goal involvements in his last 13 games. And the chips are down. Ollie Watkins has come good at the end of the season. And I can tell you, as my monitor decides it nearly wants to go off, I can tell you, in Istanbul, Ollie Watkins is going to be chomping at the bit to get his 20th goal. And that's what you want. And I was terrified when he went down in the first half holding his hip. Fucking terrified. Because he's so important. He's such a cog. He's the golden cog in this wheel. Because when it works for him in this setup, there's very few strikers can play that singular role the way he plays it. And at times he misses those passes. And he did today. He took a ball out of the sky today like Zidane and then turned around and left a pass about 2.5 foot short for Morgan Rogers when it was easier to give it to him on a plate. He left it short and allowed Van Dijk to get back at it. And he'll do that, and that's fine. 9 years ago, is it? He was playing for Weston-super-Mare as a winger. I'll tell you one thing. There's very few wingers from Weston-super-Mare could occupy 2 centre halves of the quality of Van Dijk and Konate, could take the ball out of the sky like he did tonight, or could score the first goal that he scored tonight. A man has worked in his craft. He was not offered any schoolboy terms when he was younger. He worked his arse off, and he's now going to be playing a European final. He's 100 goals for Aston Villa. What more can we say about the great Ollie Watkins? Just, is he perfect? No, but he's ours. That's what he is. Was that the highest scoring English player in the Premier League this season? Yet he's having a down year. And he is having a down year. It's not being snarky. He's still the highest scoring, he's the highest scoring forward outside of Harry Kane. If Thomas Tuchel somehow decides not to take him to the World Cup, answers on a postcard. Well done to Ollie Watkins. Well done to everybody. It's not just an Ollie Watkins love in tonight, but he's come up trumps in the last couple of games. Really, really, really has. In the last Baker's dozen, he's come up trumps. And this is when we need it. This is when we need it. And John McGinn is a leader of men, like the likes we have not seen in decades at Aston Villa. And that's fantastic to have too. And I said I'd come back to comments. I really, really should come back to comments because where's Be Happy? Be Happy says, all the confidence going to Istanbul. Let's get a trophy. That will be the message to these players. Go write your name in stone at Aston Villa, at Villa Park. Be immortal. Be immortal. That should be the message. Become immortal in Istanbul. The Liverpool players drinking out in it since 2005. I know it's Champions League, and what a Champions League final that was as well, by the way. But I remember, like, it's funny, I was messaging, and this is completely tangential, it just popped into my mind. I was messaging a Liverpool support mate of mine. He could actually be here in the comments as well. Great friend of mine. And I was saying to him, I goes, I think we're due, like we had the 7-2 against you guys, but I think we're due a good win because I remember listening to 5 Live on a cold November night. I think it was 97, 99, 98, somewhere between 97 and 99. And Robbie Fowler scored a hat-trick against Aston Villa. And I listened to it in 5 Live. And I recorded. I had a talk boy. Do you remember those yokes that were in Home Alone? For anybody who was scan forward the next 30 seconds if you don't give a shit about my childhood. Remember those talk boy things where you could do voice modulation and stuff like that? Yeah, well, I got one Christmas for when I was a kid. And I remember recording the game on long wave radio and 5 Live through my talk boy because I thought it would be hilarious to voice modulate it either up or down at some stage. And Robbie Fowler had scored a hat-trick against Villa, and I think I just fired the tape, the cassette out the window once, probably about 2 days later. That was my childhood. And we had an electric fence outside our house that was earthed, so whenever we had a long wave radio, you could hear the ticking of the electric fence through the signal, through the long wave radio. So as the commentator was talking, you could just hear tick, 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 tick. Again, completely lost on people who never grew up in rural Ireland, who had earthed electric fences around the land around their house, listening to long wave radio. But it was good times, and it goes to why I said at the very, very start of the podcast. Doesn't matter whether you're in the stadium for 38 games a year, or whether you're working shift work and you're providing for your family and you're waiting on your phone to buzz in your pocket. I was the kid who never thought Villa would get to a European Cup final or never get to the Champions League. And this was in like 94, 96. It was after 94, 96. I was that kid listening to games, midweek games, and games on Saturdays if they were on 5 Live, on long wave radio, and trying to record them. And that's what football's about. That's the beauty of football. You know, that is the beauty of kids wanting to see football and wanting to emulate their heroes, come from stupid memories like that aren't actually stupid. They're the most cherished things that you can have in the game, in sport and in fandom. And that's why I go back to saying we are living in incredible times, in unusual times for Aston Villa Football Club. And that's why every single one of us should celebrate tonight's, and even more nights like tonight, should I say, and even more, hopefully we deserve to celebrate on Wednesday night. But will we? So do Freiburg. That needs to be done. Paddy's asking me, am I still going? Am I still going? Yeah, I think I will. I think I'll go. I think I'll go. Right, lads, I know I could come to a load of your comments. There's about nearly 600 comments in there. I really appreciate every single one of you. I appreciate every one of those comments. I can assure you this is my first drink tonight. This is the way I get. I almost get drunk on emotion, if you'll excuse the phrase. But I really do. And nights like this, when you achieve a goal, they mean an awful lot to me. And I think, again, nobody will probably care about this. But there's something about team sports, and I class fandom of a club that doesn't win something every year. I almost class that as a team sport. There's something about the collective of when something good happens within a collective, and I mean that amongst fans. I mean that as well amongst fans. That feeling that you can emanate to and gather in from other people that have wanted the same thing from you. There's nothing like it, whether you're on the team or you're part of the fan group. I've often wondered if I could ever really play singular solo sports like tennis or snooker, or obviously I can't. Otherwise, if I was any good, or whatever. I often wonder, could I play those? I don't know whether I've had the love for that sport, because the collective the collective enjoyment that comes from enjoying things, putting your arm around somebody and celebrating with other people, the collective of winning something, it always just catches me right in here. Right in here. And it's the reason why watching sport, following sport, being part of sport, being part of teams, and just wanting the will to win as a fan is as great as the will to win as a player at times. That's why it always catches me. That's why it's the magic of sport. That's why, as I say, I get so emotional in times like this. And I'm sure you've all understood that tonight was a big night. And I feel tonight was a big night. Anyway, I'm going to go before I start crying. Right, 40 minutes. And it's been absolutely amazing. Tonight was a fantastic night. Fantastic night for Aston Villa Football Club. And I'll go back to what I said at the very, very start. I salute every effort that every Aston Villa fan makes, because it's been a hell of a ride this year. For everybody that's watched the podcast, for everybody who's commented on the podcast, for everybody who's just toddled on by and came in for one or two, I really appreciate that, because I've no right for anybody to listen to my opinion on anything. And the fact that you guys are here watching a 40 41-year-old man almost cry on the internet is a testament to I suppose this football team and what they've done for us. It's nothing got to do with me. I'm just a mouthpiece, and I'm just happy to spend this. This podcast was born from the idea of me having no one to talk to, and now I've got 868 people here to talk to. So thank you for lending me your ears, and thank you for commenting in here. And I really wish I'd read a lot of them, but this is what happens. I talk an awful lot. If Paddy was here, I probably would have shut up an awful lot more. I would have listened to him. I might have been able to bring up some comments, but I do appreciate every single comment, and I will read every single one of them back. The only bad thing about tonight is I'm working in the morning, because I'm not going to bed just yet. And I think this night deserves to be celebrated a small bit more. And hopefully we'll be celebrating again on Wednesday. But in the meantime, everybody, we're going to build up to Istanbul. Stay safe, stay healthy. And all that's left to say is up the Champions League, Aston Villa.